everyone. This is Mary Beth Hartlev, the CEO of Prism HR Consulting. And throughout the month of March, I am interviewing inspiring women from around the world in celebration of Women's History Month. This year, the theme is providing healing and promoting hope. It's both a tribute to the ceaseless work of caregivers and frontline workers during this ongoing pandemic, and it's also a recognition of the thousands of ways that women of all cultures have provided healing and hope throughout history. Today, I'm pleased to introduce you to Amber Stidham. She is the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Henderson Chamber of Commerce. She is a fierce advocate for our small businesses and state economic development efforts. Since joining the Chamber in 2015, her leadership enabled the organization to increase its fundraising by 300%. That is quite an accomplishment. She doubled its PAC participation, and proudly, her role has allowed the organization to significantly diversify the leadership around its committee and boardroom tables. She's been recognized as a who's who in her profession by local business publications, and in 2019, was honored by the National Association of Women Business Owners, Southern Nevada chapter, as a woman of distinction. She currently serves as a college mentor to students and sits among her colleagues on various public safety and community boards. She's a native Nevadan, a UNLV graduate, been married 15 years, and has a teenage son. So welcome, Amber. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your very busy schedule.
We are all busy working women. Thanks, Mary Beth. This is fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. So we want to learn more about you. So tell us more about, your background and your career path and how you came to be in the position you are in today.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I appreciate receiving the invitation to be part of this interview. Gosh, who are we? Doesn't a little bit of everything makes us up, makes up who we are. How far do you want to go back? Just kidding. I joke because I broke my mother's tailbone when she was giving birth to me. So she says I've been a pain in the butt ever since day one.
Oh my God,
I don't know how far back you want to go, but I don't know what makes me who I am. A little bit of everything. I had a great childhood, divorced parents. I'm a hardworking mom who put herself through college on her own. In fact, we went to college together. And then I put myself through college while working when I was younger. I was going to school for communications. I thought I wanted to be the next Barbara Walters until I figured out that I really don't like being on television or interviews. So I always get a little anxiety. I'm going to be really transparent here. I probably have a little fluster on my chest being on a video. I like being behind the scenes, which is what I do now. But yeah, I went to school for communications, and grew up here in the Las Vegas area. I was working at a hotel, and it was pretty lucrative for, a 21-year-old. And I figured I probably should get out while I'm still broke and start working at a marketing firm, which was great. So I did that for about 10, 11, 12 years. And one of the firms I worked at for about 10 years started doing some public policy outreach. And I just thought it was really fascinating to be part of sort of the agenda setting and really being a listener and hearing different people's perspectives and how, people come to a decision about really important things that happen in life. So that's kind of how I got into this line of work. Now here I am at the Chamber of Commerce. So I work on behalf of our members, and most of them are small business owners like you, who are, passion project driven. They love what they do. And I love that. I love being able to help our members grow and, achieve their dreams. And so that's what I advocate for.
Okay. So, I've had the distinct pleasure of knowing you over the last several years, and also now serving as your vice chair on the Impact Committee. And so I'm very familiar with what we do and what we're trying to do, but tell our audience a bit more about, specific advocacy, and especially right now, what are we in the midst of in terms of supporting the Henderson community and also our membership?
Yeah, well, I hope you have a great audience. At least my mom's going to listen, right? So I'm going to send the video to my mom.
That's one person. We got it.
And for the rest of my family, I've been doing, I've been in the workforce for 30 years. They just ask me if work's going okay because they don't really know what I do for a living. So maybe this is a great chance to explain, based on your question, what I do. So right now, my day-to-day job is really to be, this is what I think of it, really to be a professional storyteller about important issues and listening to different people's perspectives and trying to find a way where we can meet in the middle on important issues. So in my role at the Chamber of Commerce, I spend a lot of my time talking about tax and regulatory issues, all the super sexy things, healthcare, infrastructure, land, land acquisition and development of projects and items like that, all the things that impact the day-to-day business operations of employers like you and so many others. It's my job to be a listener and to hear what the challenges and opportunities are of people that are running businesses in my community, and then to be able to share that with people that are, public servants and in elected positions who are ultimately, crafting laws and voting on laws that impact us all. So right now, it's been especially busy the last couple of years, as you can imagine, with the pandemic. And we're still working through a lot of those discussions at the federal, state, regional, and local levels on behalf of business with elected officials. But we're involved in a whole bunch of different things. So, right now for business, there's just a lot of concerns on workforce challenges. Our business owners really are looking for stability. We all, I think that's just human nature. We all want to know, what's happening next so we can plan our lives about it. I do it at home all the time. I want to know what my finances are. I want to know what the plans are for our family future. And businesses are very much the same. And right now there hasn't been a whole heck of a lot of stability the last couple of years. So in order for them to grow and succeed, they need to have that. So those are a lot of the conversations that we're having now.
Yeah, and very important conversations. And
Yeah.
I know you're doing just great work supporting the small business community. So
thank you. Well, I will say though, Mary Beth, I really appreciate that, but it really is. I think I do a pretty good job. I'm not going to do the whole we thing that I know a lot of women business owners do, but it really is a we conversation. I can't do it without people around me. I am a kind of like a generalist. I'm a jack of all trades, and the expert of none, right? So I have to have people like you and other subject matter experts around me to tell me exactly what, the pain points are so I can be that storyteller to elected. So thank you, because you're part of that.
Well, you kind of lead the charge, lead the pack, let's put it that way. But yeah, it takes a village for sure, especially with this type of work. Yeah. And so, to that end, to what or to whom do you owe your success?
Probably all the women before me. My mother, I come from a very large family on my mother's side of very strong, opinionated women that I love. Probably them. You see yourself in other people as you go through the years. And I know my mother comes from a really large family, a lot of women. And I think it's just a little bit of a different generational experience based on earlier, different generation of experiences. And I saw my mom and all of her sisters transition from, kind of marrying off and then getting into the workforce later on down the line to transitioning in the 70s and 80s into career women. And, they made me self-confident, self-reliant. Don't ever have anything, to give everything your 100%, and very much don't allow anybody to tell me that I can't do something that I want to do, or don't be who I really am inside, and don't be apologetic about it, which is hard because there's a lot of self-doubt that comes into, my mind day to day. And so when those moments come up, I really think of my mom and all my aunts and my cousins and stuff like that. So I guess yeah.
That's great. So a lot of role models and strength there. And I really like what you just said about, self-doubt too, because I think a lot of times, women think they're all alone in that. And that has come up through the course of doing these interviews. That I think that's a vulnerability that's important to share, that, you're not alone, and having self-doubt from time to time is perfectly normal, and it's okay. And being able to have those resources to move past that is important. So thanks for sharing that. And I'm curious too, the Women's History Month theme, we talked about providing healing, promoting hope. How does that theme resonate for you in your personal and professional life?
That's an excellent question. For me, I wish I had a clear answer. It kind of goes back to the self-doubt thing. Like I try to, for the hope piece, I always try to focus on, what's achievable, what my ultimate goals are. And that might be my personal life or my professional life, and always focus on what I am able to accomplish, but also kind of shoot for the stars and find little incremental ways that I can get there and try. It's difficult for me to celebrate the successes along the way, so I feel like I'm making progress. But what does it resonate? What resonates in my life? It's kind of crazy. And maybe I'm going off on a tangent here. I'm just trying to I think a few years before I was born, they just allowed, for Women's History, they just allowed women to receive like their own credit card without having a husband sign off onto it. And that just like blows my mind sometimes to think that, I'm in my early 40s, I turned 44 this year, and that was just a couple of years before I was born. And, my mother could not receive her own credit card. It's just crazy to me. And I think back to I was in second grade when the Challenger blew up. I remember wanting to be an astronaut because Sally Ride was like the first woman astronaut. Mm-hmm. And when she was announced to, the NASA team, I became completely into space, because I saw someone that was a woman, and I love math and science, which I don't know how in the heck I'm doing what I'm doing for a living now, because I was actually like math and sciences. But I loved Sally Ride, and to think that she was the first woman, I'm thinking about recent history. And that was in the 80s. That was in the mid 80s. I mean, that was not a long time ago. I just think, everything that we've all done collectively as women professionals, or women for one another, or even the men in our lives that are helping, helping to pave the way, has been great for us. But there's a lot more that we can all do for one another, to make things more equitable, I think.
Okay, good. And so tell me, what is one piece of advice you would like to share with other women? I know it's hard to just have one, but.
One piece of advice. I'm trying to think about what other people would have said. So how can I complement that? It's tough. I have a few. One thing that I think that is missed a lot for women in the workplace would be that women professionals need to make sure that they're financially literate and that they can read and understand a budget. I've seen so many times that, there's been a mentor for a woman coming up in the profession, or women helping other women rise up. And there's been a lot of, make sure you lean in to the boardroom table. Yes, make sure that you're asserting yourself and you're shaking hands when you're saying your first and last name, and that, you're speaking up in the boardroom. Yes, all those things. But one of the things that I see that's overlooked a lot is making sure that you understand the finances, because it doesn't matter if you're in a nonprofit organization, for profit, a government entity, everything operates off of money. And money helps to tell you what trends are, what downfalls are coming, what strategies you should take as a business person. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity there if more women professionals were to make sure they're paying attention to the bottom line.
Great. That's a great piece of advice. And Amber, I really appreciate your time again today. And for those of you who are listening, if you enjoyed our interview, please subscribe, follow, and comment, and share our page. So thank you so much, Amber. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Mary Beth. This was fun.
Bye-bye.